what I'm going to do, guys, is bring in the crew. Let's get started in another episode of the podcast. All right. On the count of 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Welcome back to the Better Body Academy podcast. This is the podcast that you come to when you are sick of the dumb diets and unsustainable workout programs. You're just sick of struggling with the same restrictive diets, the same over-the-top workout programs. We are approaching 400 episodes of the podcast. 400 episodes of the podcast. And so if you'd like to binge listen to the podcast, you can go back to Apple, Spotify. What else are we on? Amazon, basically anywhere that you can get a podcast and you can re-listen to a ton of episodes. So in this episode, guys, we're going to be talking about 7 reasons to stay fat. Okay, so if you want to add some to the comments of this podcast, feel free to do so, and I'll try to address it. The reason I'm doing this podcast is that I was thinking yesterday, what is the main thing that people give as the reasons that they can't lose weight? Okay, what are the main things? What do people say? Now, I'm going to try to get inside your head. Okay, this is my goal, to get inside your head, and maybe you've started a transformation, maybe you haven't started a transformation, and I'm going to guess these 7 things, at least a handful of them, are the things that you've been saying is the reason that you can't lose weight. Now, what we're going to talk about is this idea of a limiting belief. Okay, well, a limiting belief. You might have heard of this idea before. What is a limiting belief? A limiting belief is, firstly, let's say, what is a belief? A belief is not a fact. A belief is something that you have come to take on as the truth, right? You believe it to be the truth. That doesn't mean it's real, but you believe it, and you believe it as the truth. And because you believe it as the truth, it's fact for you. But that doesn't mean it's real. So what is a limiting belief? A limiting belief is a belief that you have, which is limiting you from moving forward. So in the case of a limiting belief around weight, for example, your limiting belief might be around your genetics. Your limiting belief might be around your money. We're going to go through a number of these limiting beliefs now. And for each limiting belief, I'm going to show you why this is fundamentally either not true, or what perhaps I can frame shift your mind out of thinking one way and instead thinking another way. So let's get stuck into it. Number 1 is, I am too tired after work and don't have the time and energy to exercise. I mean, isn't that, just as a summary, the main reason most of us got overweight? Like, let's face it. I'm fucking tired. I don't have the time or the energy to exercise, particularly after work. I think this is what most people struggle with, to be honest. Whether they actually don't have the time or not is irrelevant. In fact, as a young coach, what I used to do is, and it's so dumb in hindsight, what I used to do is take Mark or Matt here or Sharon here or whoever here and say, all right, you got 24 hours in a day, and so you sleep for 8 of them, and blah, 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 and look, you've got 7 hours left, or you got 3 hours left, you got 1 hour left. And I tried to show people that they have time. And you know how effective that was? Absolutely fucking useless. It was literally useless, because everyone thinks they have no time, myself included. So this is a limiting belief. I guarantee you. What's really interesting, have any of you guys noticed this? When you've started to lose weight, you started to become better at training, you started to feel good in yourself, all of a sudden, you seem to have a little bit more time. How the hell does that happen? Well, firstly, what I want to take away is your need to train aggressively and go hard every day. At the start of your journey, something that requires basically no extra time, it still requires time, but no extra time, is to focus on your eating. Okay, now hear this. I believe that for the most part, it takes the same amount of time to cook a meal that helps you towards your weight loss goals as it does a meal that doesn't help you towards your weight loss goals. Think about it, right? What extra time is there in grilling versus frying? Or I don't know. There's no extra time dedication that comes. Now, if you're trying to be consistent with meal prep and a bunch of extra stuff, maybe that's a different matter. But we're talking about just the simple preparation of healthy food, right? That doesn't take any extra time. So you've got to eat. Stop worrying at the start about your workouts. Stop worrying about the gym. Stop worrying about the 10,000 steps. If you are new and you are struggling with this, the only thing you need to worry about to stop the overwhelm is just to eat better. Now, what does eating better actually look like? Eat meat, eat eggs, eat low-fat dairy products, eat fruit and vegetables. If I break it down like that to you, does that sound like that takes a fucking extra lot of time? No. What takes a lot of time is getting to the gym when you're tired after you got up at 4 o'clock in the morning to get in your truck to drive to work an hour, and then you're absolutely killed by the end of the day, and then you try to go to the gym. That takes extra time. What we need to do is start with the thing that's going to move the needle the most, and that's your nutrition. This is the reason why most personal trainers get shitty results. People in BBA get constant results. Why? Because we focus on their nutrition first. Now, in addition to that, we do not need you to go to a gym at the start. If you literally cannot fit it in, you've got your nutrition on point, but now what you want to do is add a little bit of exercise. What type of exercise do you add? Walking. That's it. Now, walking with the kids, with your partner, on a treadmill while you're watching fucking Netflix, I don't care. The great thing about walking is that, guess what? There's no difference between doing 30 minutes walking and walking 10 minutes 3 times a day. Zero difference. In fact, going to a gym, if you're the person that struggles to actually get to the gym, just don't worry about it at the start. Just instead, train at home. You can get an incredible workout with your body weight, with some resistance bands from Amazon, $40 from Amazon, and with a set of adjustable dumbbells. No commuting time. You could even do it 20 minutes before you start work at 6 o'clock in the morning. This is if you wanted to add onto the top of your nutrition. So the first limiting belief that we need to kill is this idea that you need all this extra time. You don't. You actually need no extra time at the start. You just need to eat better. And what that means is eat meat, eat vegetables, eat fruit, eat eggs. That's about it. And watch what happens. The weight will fall off you. Limiting belief number 2. I work shift work or FIFO, so fly in, fly out, and it feels absolutely impossible. So how many of you are in that camp? You work, maybe you're a nurse, or maybe you are a night teacher, or maybe you work in the mines, or you work in some other form of construction. I want to say straight away, I actually believe that this is legitimately the hardest thing to overcome in a fitness journey, is if you work shifts. Shift work is so hard. And this is the reason why most shift workers are overweight. The reason is because sleep is the most important thing. If you are not sleeping, trying to eat properly and exercise is fucking impossible. Like, way more important than your nutrition is getting enough sleep. Sleep crushes everything in terms of its importance. So with people that work shifts, it's almost impossible, but not entirely impossible. What I would think is, if I was you, I'm going to wait. First of all, the most important priority that I'm going to focus on is making sleep the priority. The priority. See, what I observe in a lot of shift workers is that they want to still be able to do both worlds. They want to live in both worlds. They want to still be able to do their shift work. And then they also want to be able to live a 9 to 5 type life. That doesn't work. It just does not work. So what you have to do is, number one, you have to prioritize your sleep. Number two, you've got to think about what I've talked about in number one again, which is your nutrition. I think it would be pretty reasonable, as far as your exercise and transformation plan, to almost live two lives when you're on shift and when you're off shift. So if, for example, you're on day shift, that's a little bit easier, right? You can coordinate that a little bit better. When you're on night shift, it just might not be feasible for you to get to the gym, for example, or to eat in a typical way. So what do? No problems. You rely on maybe more frozen foods and just reheat. You rely on more snacking to get you through the tired periods. You rely on more home workouts. What's going to happen is, as soon as you get tired, you're going to fall to the level of your system. And if your system's too difficult, you're fucked. Okay, number three. This is a big one for the girls, but equally for the men, particularly as they're nudging up around that 45, 50 mark. And that is, I cannot lose weight because of my men hormones, as in reducing testosterone, women menopause. You know what? Like, the more I get into coaching women of the vicinity of, 40 plus, the more I realize, holy shit, this is hard. It is really, really hard. And so part of this podcast is actually just the limiting belief that you have that you can't lose weight because of menopause, because of shift work, because of tiredness. I'm never going to tell you menopause isn't important, shift work's not important, tiredness is not important. All of those things are actually real. They're real. But they aren't something that should stop you entirely. So let's talk about menopause. When it comes to menopause, I think what a lot of ladies are doing is thinking that they can outwork through crazy amounts of cardio and super low calories the weight gain that's associated with menopause. You're no fucking chance. You're making things worse. Actually, you've got to do the exact opposite. You've got to stop putting yourself under so much stress, and exercise, by the way, is a stress. So if you're flogging yourself with cardio and you're in menopause, it's just not the way to do it. You need to focus on resistance training. This can be done at home, and you need to get your protein intake up. If we were to combine this with some medical intervention to look at hormone therapy, HRT, this is the perfect formula. Now, even if you decide not to go down the line of HRT, you still need to understand that if your hormones are literally in the pit, everything else is infinitely harder. There's a fact to that. If you've followed any of my stuff for a long period of time, you would know that I am dead against steroids. Dead against steroids. And predominantly the reason is because I worry about the mental implications of it. Having said that, if you are a man and your testosterone level is in the absolute pits because of your shitty lifestyle and the fact that you've just hit 50 years of age, you've got to do something about that. But the way to do something about it is not to do a bunch of cardio, try to starve yourself, and work more. You've got to work out, how do I get my lifestyle right? I see so many people that just leap to testosterone replacement therapy or HRT thinking that it's the golden elixir. But what ends up happening is they keep their same shitty lifestyle. If that does not change, nothing changes. When it comes to medical intervention, it needs to be a combination of the medicine, the hormones, plus the lifestyle. This idea of just taking it and expecting it to work wonders, it just doesn't work like that. So what is the frame shift, right? It's not that hitting 40 years old means that you're just destined to be fat. That's not it. It's harder, absolutely. But if you have a plan to train the right way, eat the right way and try to reduce the stress of your body so that your hormones rebound a little bit. And then in addition to that, we look at some therapy where it's needed. We're talking a totally different game here. And I've seen numerous examples of this. Let's get on to number 4. These are the limiting beliefs which keep people fat. I don't know what to eat. How many people have said that? Like, honestly, I don't know what to eat. And because I don't know what to eat, I'm stuck, right? So what I try to do, if I don't know what to eat, here's my solution. Well, I don't know what to eat, so I'm just going to eat less. Now, for how many of you has eating less worked? I bet the number is like close to fucking 0, right? Eating less doesn't work because eating less is followed by hunger, which is followed by eating more. There is really 2 or 3 fundamental principles of healthy eating that you don't need to know how to be a wizard in the kitchen. Here's what I think. I think shows like MasterChef and social medias like Instagram have made it seem like everyday food that people eat in their house looks like fucking magic. And look at me with my basic, boring meal. Guys, if you were to pull back the curtains and looked at this is why I'm trying to constantly show you, my clients, the meals that I eat. It's basic stuff. It's not extravagant stuff. And it doesn't take more than 15 to 20 minutes to cook. So again, we go to the time thing, right? It takes the same amount of time to make a shitty meal as it does a good meal, if you know what you're doing. I think what a lot of people is, they say, you know what, like, I don't know what to do, so I'll just do nothing or eat less. How do you think that that's going to work? I'll give you the basics in literally the simplest way that I can on how to eat healthy and for weight loss. Here's how you do it. Number 1, you don't eat from packets. You eat predominantly whole foods. Again, meat, vegetables, fruit, eggs, low-fat dairy products, done. That's it. Second thing you need to do is eliminate the liquid calories. And I'm not just talking about alcohol. I'm talking about juice, smoothies, cordial, soda. They don't fill you up. They go from mouth to piss in an hour and a half. And what happens? You're hungry again. So you get all the sugar, but you don't get any satiation. Like, it's actually not that hard. The hard part about it is, oh, I'm craving sugar. And we'll get to that point in a second. Okay? So for now, if you don't know what to eat and you're using that as an excuse for being fat, guess what? We need to give you a minimal education on what to eat. What we would do is start you on a meal plan, graduate you slowly off that meal plan, teaching you a little bit about calories and protein, and that's really all you need to understand to be healthy. That's it. Isn't that interesting? That's exactly what we teach in Better Body Academy. Funny that. Okay, number 5 of the limiting beliefs. I've tried everything. Jace, but nothing works. Oh my God, it's so frustrating. And I've tried everything and nothing works is often combined with my genetics or my I'm too tired or I've got menopause or one of these things. In their own right, those things are hard. Tried everything and nothing worked. Do you know how many times I hear when people have been with us for maybe 10 to 12 weeks and they say, I've tried everything and nothing worked until I found you guys? Do you know why? Because I'm going to give you the 2 secrets, right? And if you're in Better Body Academy and you're not doing this, this is why you're struggling. Number 1 is that you've got to get educated, right? This is why we have workshops and podcasts. If I can get some of what's in my head into yours, you will never be overweight. Number 2, you have to get involved in a community. So when you say you've tried everything and nothing works, here's what you've done. You've tried to eat less. You've kept eating the same foods, but eating less of it, which has caused you to be then hungry. When you're hungry, you binge. When you binge, you feel guilty. And so you eat less. When you eat less, you're hungry. You're hungry, you binge. You binge, you feel guilty. Does this like sound familiar, guys? Let me know in the comments if this actually sounds familiar, because this is what we call yo-yo dieting. I'm going to tell you that the answer is not eating less. The answer is eating more. Do you know how many times I hear from our clients, oh my God, this is almost like too much food? How can you go from being overweight and starving all the time to becoming losing weight and being so full that you feel like you're stuffed? How does that happen? Because our program is driven around nutrition, not exercise, with nutrition as this secondary kind of thing that's a little bit important. Nutrition is everything, guys. And so when you say you've tried everything, I can try everything like I think that I did 6 years ago. 6 years ago, I tried everything to start a coaching business. Everything except the things that actually fucking matter, like going live and doing podcasts and talking to people and building trust and showing that you know what you're talking about. You're making the exact same mistake. You're trying everything, but it's the wrong shit. Like, it's just that you haven't realized it's the wrong shit yet. And when you start doing the right shit, it's funny how quickly things happen. We need to rethink this do more exercise, more diets. That's not how it works. The fittest people, the healthiest people that I know have a beautiful balance between they utilize their time, they enjoy food, they enjoy indulgences, they don't socially isolate themselves, and they're of a good health. Which brings me to limiting belief number 6. 6 of 7. I can't lose weight, or I won't be able to stick to it because I still enjoy being social. I still like going out and having drinks. I like going to barbecues. And on top of that, I've got a mad sweet tooth. Now, who's that? Who of you guys is like, that's bang on? Because I'm exactly the same. And I can still, at 42, manage to have a great life. I do not have to be a social hermit. I do not have to avoid everything. It's about changing the limiting belief from I can't have these things to actually, how can I have these things? I can tell you that you can drink alcohol and maintain your weight. You absolutely can. You just can't do it every bloody day. I'm going to tell you, you can eat plenty of chocolate and maintain your weight. You just can't do it every single day. The problem is so many people operate in this, oh, I can't do it. I can't do it. I've got to restrict. And then what's followed from a restriction is the binge. This is the binge bust cycle again. I'm going to tell you, you can go to barbecues. You can go out socially. You've just got to know how to budget your calories so that you can still have the little bit of indulgence, factor it in often as possible, but then still be able to budget. It's the exact same thing to say that, you know, if you wanted to go on a holiday to Europe or North America or Australia next year, you've decided you've got to put away $200 a week to save. Good idea. That's a budget. But if your partner says to you, can we, like, this is getting boring, just saving, can we go out for like $150, $200 dinner? Is that okay? Of course it's okay. It doesn't destroy the year's worth of savings for you to go out and have a dinner. And it's the exact same way when you're budgeting for calories. Calories, finances, effectively the same model. You need a budget, and most people are fat because they have no budget. And so what they do is think to themselves, you know what? Well, I'm just going to like cut my morning coffee and I'm going to cut this and cut this and cut this. And then their life goes to shit and they don't like it and they stop doing it. If you've got a plan in place, things change. Now, on the sweet tooth, I just want to give you one simple frame shift. And it's this. Are you actually craving sugar, or are you craving sweetness? Are you craving sugar, or are you craving sweetness? Because you can get sweetness from foods that are very low in sugar. There's a difference. I think, and I can't imagine anyone can really prove me wrong on this. I think that most people are craving sweetness. I crave sweetness as well. And guess what? I have sweetness frequently, every day. How do I have sweetness? I have protein bars that are covered in chocolate and it tastes like a Snickers. If I feel like a soda, I don't have a Coke. I have a diet soda. It tastes the same. If I want ice cream at night, which I do every night, I don't have Ben and Jerry's. I have Halo Top or Kenny's. So rather than say, I can't have this, you can. You just change the type that you're doing it. Does this make sense? You're craving sweetness, not sugar. The final of the limiting beliefs I want to go through today is probably the hardest one. And there's a bit more to this. And it is, I struggle with motivation and sticking to a plan and being consistent. I struggle with motivation and sticking to a plan and being consistent. I think this is the biggest limiting belief of them all. And I could say so many things around this, and I kind of don't want to just recycle things that I've said before, but it's hard to have this conversation without going over the fact that motivation is just a fucking emotion, right? So are you happy all the time? No. Are you sad all the time? No. Angry all the time? No. Energetic all the time? No. Motivated all the time? No. So what you're looking for is not motivation. What we're trying to do is create something that's actually the complete opposite of motivation. And the word is discipline. And discipline is just this idea of conditioning yourself to do things that you don't feel like doing. Feelings are a very poor predictor of results. These fucking karmic wizards that get on Instagram, all spiritual, oh, you should only do what you feel like. What a lot of horse shit that is. Because what I feel like doing right in this moment is not doing a podcast. It's going outside and sitting down and eating a fucking pizza. That's what I feel like doing. If the proxy for your action is feelings, you stay stuck. The goal is to do oftentimes the opposite of what you feel like. And when you start to override this, right, you don't look for motivation anymore. You're not sitting there going, I don't have any motivation, so I can't do the thing. You think to yourself, man, I'm so unmotivated right now, but I'm integral to myself, right? I don't wait for motivation. I get up and do it because it needs to be done. Now, one of the things that makes this a little bit more likely is having some accountability. If you are trying to do this on your own, it's really hard. It is really hard. Trying to use your willpower to drive yourself is really hard. There's a reason that over the last year, I've spent more than $100,000 on coaching, just on me. Why? It kills my finances. But I do it because I don't want to stay in the same fucking place. I don't want to waste another 6 years sitting in the same place. If you value your time, some of you guys get paid, 30, 40, 50, 100, $500 an hour in whatever business that you run. If you value your time and you waste a year, like how many hours you wasted times your hourly rate over a course of a year, you've wasted tens of thousands of dollars, but you've saved money. They're the same thing. You need to get some accountability. Now, whether that means you just join a Facebook group or a local group or a gym vibe, or it doesn't matter what it is, you need some accountability. And this accountability and being in the presence of other people that are doing the thing that you want to do as part of a community, like our academy, what happens? You can't help but just get swept up in that if you keep showing up, because you become the product of the people that you hang around with all the time. And so what this does is, at a core level, you start to do things, right? Small things. And then what happens is, because you're doing small things, you think to yourself, oh, I just did that thing and I just won. Good job, me. And then you do it again the next day. Good job, me. And you do it again the next day. Good job, me. And then you fuck it up, right? It doesn't matter, because then you get back in and you do it again the next day. And eventually, through the repetition of doing, you start to build self-belief again. When you've said to yourself for years and years and years and years and years, I'm going to do something and you don't do it. I'm going to do something, you don't do it. You've eroded trust with yourself. The moment you turn the corner and you say, I don't feel like it, but I do it anyway. I don't feel like it, but I do it anyway. You start to believe that you can overcome hard things. And when you overcome hard things, you build trust with yourself, which helps your self-belief, helps you to develop discipline, helps you to develop consistency. So the limiting belief is that I just struggle with motivation. I'm struggling with consistency. Yeah, because you're trying to do it by yourself and you've spent the last 10 years lying to yourself. Fuck, no wonder. If your partner said that they would take out the rubbish, and every day they said they took out the rubbish, but they didn't do it, so you just fucking went, oh, they're not going to do it. I'll do it myself. What do you think's going to happen? Your trust in them is eroded. We bring trust back. Look what happens. Guys, this has been a deep dive into the 7 limiting beliefs that I see that stop people from being able to move forward. I have limiting beliefs still about not being good enough, being an imposter, who would want to listen to me. These limiting beliefs shape our life. They stop us getting to the next level. So you've got to do things that challenge those limiting beliefs. And the more you challenge them, the more you realize that it's really this like bubble that lies over the top of us that stops us from going where we want in life. And it's kind of sad, because a lot of people sit inside that bubble, gradually dying when they're 40 years old, 50 years old, fucking hardly enjoying their life. And then get to the end where they actually realize their own mortality and then just go, fuck, why did I waste so much time? If this is hard hitting this morning, it's because I really care about the idea of helping change people's lives and having impact, which is why when you guys in Better Body Academy sit there and validate yourself based on the fucking scales, and you don't look at how strong you've been, how consistent you've been, how connected you now are, you're throwing out the baby with the bathwater, so to speak. Guys, this has been the Better Body Academy podcast, coming to you for another episode. If you've enjoyed the episode and you would like to get over to one of the platforms and give us a review, just search for Better Body Academy podcast. Would love for you to do that. Other than that, I'll see you in the next episode. All right, team. So what is going on this morning? It looks like my streams started to cut out a little bit. But apart from that, guys, hopefully the podcast was beneficial. I'll see you guys in the next.